Hi, everybody, and welcome to that rock, metal, punk. Oh, I can't even talk about it today. I can't. I'm so excited that Rex is here. Well, I'm all excited that Rex is here.
Shall we try out doing this?
Yes.
Shall I take
One more time.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to that rock, punk, and metal show with Bernadette and Dave.
Yeah.
And Rex.
I'm your guest host today,
Yes.
Rex Venues from Los Angeles.
Of course, I would mess that up.
It's okay. It's
You
just
know?
the intro. The rest of it's really going to go well.
I got it.
I can
got
tell by
it.
the first 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, I know that this is going to be a tough one to get through with these two people here because we've known each other for a long time, and if you think Dave has a sense of humor, it is this one. So the two of them together, that's going to be really hard for me to handle.
Giving
here.
us a bad name, right?
I can't walk off.
Like I said, the first 10 seconds was shot to hell, so what now?
I know it. You know.
Going off the rails.
I know. So
Gloves are off.
I'm really excited that Rex is here today to talk about his band and the production company, this whole event, this whole thing that you do in order to bring. It is.
Yes.
It is.
What goes on? I mean, for the longest time, there's a lot of bands out there that do 80s metal shows.
Yes.
And
Half-assed.
everybody, well, they're nailing the music. But what people are looking for is the reason they truly came to the show, not just for the music,
The whole
but for the
experience.
lights, the experience. I mean, call it what you want, man, but it's spandex, bright lights, outrageous outfits. It's not easy being 50 and frickin' jamming my ass into these things, okay?
shit.
So,
Okay,
it
okay.
takes work.
No, you didn't
Now.
see the zebra print pants.
Oh, those were,
I've seen them.
Yeah, oh, okay. I just.
You wore them, I saw you
Yeah,
guys at
but we were
Haverstraw.
not on stage at the time, but we're not going to go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd the whole concept come from?
Actually, a friend of ours who's unfortunately not in the band anymore. We've had a few member changes over the years. I've always wanted to do an 80s band, but do it right. He came to me, had some band members, we were already getting the ball rolling and stuff, but if we were going to do it, we were going to do it right. We were going to give them the experience that they had when they used to go to places like the Brendan Byrne Arena, go to see shows at Madison Square Garden, where you see a band, and one band could go into the Brendan Byrne Arena and pack the joint.
Yeah.
Well, people are agreeing with you already.
Yeah,
going through that.
it's what we're trying to do. We're trying to not just have people come along and sing along with songs that they've known since they were kids.
I haven't heard in 25 years.
Right, but played as close as they can be played to what the album did. Not the
Right.
way the bands
Right.
are playing them now,
Right.
but the
'Cause
way they were
everything-
played on the album, to try and recreate a look and an energy that at the end of the night, I've had so many people come to me at the end of the night, they can't talk because they've been singing all night at the top of their lungs.
Yeah.
Just reaching deep down inside and giving everything the same way the members of the band do. It's a real charge. It's a lot of fun. Just performing the show and seeing the people out there enjoying themselves.
When I
is
saw
the
you
biggest
guys down in
charge.
Haverstraw, I'm standing there and these songs you guys are playing, I'm like, holy shit, I haven't heard that in 30 years.
Yeah.
You're not playing the poppy radio overplayed.
Right.
We do some
crap.
of those, but we also want to make sure that we're giving people the oddball hits.
Yes.
You
Something
know,
they don't hear all the time. Something
Right.
they don't want to hear what they're sick of already.
Our greatest blessing has been Hair Nation on Sirius XM because that's our set list. Most of the time, that is our set list. And every once in a while, we'll throw in a one that people are like, how did they even consider doing this? And well, you played enough on XM radio, we'll do it. Or we'll give it a shot.
And even
not
on-
everyone's a winner.
Even on XM, they play crap that I'm just tired of hearing.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. Next time I hear rock and roll all night, I swear I'm going to throw the radio out the freaking window.
You, the Kiss fan.
Yeah.
Huge Kiss fan. I can't stand that
Hence
song
stands
anymore.
the shirt.
Can't stand that song anymore.
I know.
But meanwhile, if they put on Heaven's on Fire,
Nah. Put on anything for my baby, and we'll talk.
Let's put the X in sex. And then right away he's cranking it up, right?
No. And then I change the channel. That's
Then
just
we-
horrible.
yeah.
That's not even Kiss.
Then
This has to be
it's time for a new radio.
This has to be complicated to do, complicated to put it together, because to get a feel. I mean, there's a lot of bands that do covers. We talk. You've been in bands for
Dave
God
and
knows
I
how.
have been in
Yeah,
bands
the two
over
of
the
you.
years, yeah.
You know, but it must be really hard to lock it down to a feel. You know, like when you like a certain type of music or a certain era, it's not just the clothes. It's the way the music sounded. It's the way the music was played. There was a different type of energy. You know, from the 80s
absolutely.
to the 90s to 90s.
Right.
It's hard to nail that down, but you're doing that.
We have made it our quest that if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. I am so lucky. Look, I'm not breaking my elbow, patting myself on the back. I'm a good lead singer.
Yes.
But without the members of my band nailing those 80s harmony vocals,
Yes. Yeah.
I would just be another guy out there singing decent, okay?
Right.
These guys, my bass player, Mickey Licks, Rue Hughes on drums, Dee Dee Mars on guitar. Dee Dee's actually our newest member of the band. He's also brought another aspect. He's brought in playing live keyboards and piano on these songs, so it's even expanding our live repertoire. We did for the longest time sample our keyboard songs. One, we always knew that the keyboards were always going to be spot on.
Yeah.
And it wasn't another member of the band having to play it. So it worked out really well. Plus, again, there are so many songs that have so many different keyboard sounds. It was tough to make sure that you had them all programmed right.
Yes.
This way, they were ironed out from songs like
totally
Jump from
kill a
Van
song.
Halen, Final Countdown,
Yes.
stuff like that. They were even doing some of the horn sections in Dude Looks Like a Lady.
Yeah.
All that kind of keyboard work is already, programmed. And now we're adding in some live piano stuff or stuff like Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
Yeah.
Things like that really help expand the set list.
Right. Right
And-
now, each band has a different feel to it too. Like, so you're talking about somebody like Van Halen is going to sound and act, and their persona was very different than somebody, let's say, like Aerosmith. So how do you overcome that?
It is. I've always, over the years, haven't considered myself a singer. I mimic. I sound like other guys.
Got it.
All right, so
Got it.
that's one of the things I've always done is I work my hardest to try and sound like the singer from that band.
I got it.
Sometimes it's spot on. Sometimes it's about as close as I can get.
Sometimes it's close enough.
When you're doing over 30 songs in one night, not all of them
The
are
end
spot
of the
on.
night gets.
Oh yeah,
It gets
especially
tough.
when one of the hardest tunes to sing is Mental Health from Quiet Riot, where Kevin DuBrow just first word out of his mouth is this Lord guttural yell, and yeah, it's sometimes getting that out at the end of the night's not the easiest thing.
Oh yeah. Even when we played, there were songs that I put at the end of the set list just
Yeah.
because they're easier
Right.
to perform.
That would make
Like
sense.
Only from Anthrax.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's an easy. That's vocally. That's an easy song to perform.
But again, without the other members of the band doing their part, that
Yes.
song could
you
technically
do a good
fall
job
on its
of that.
face.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I've seen you play it. Nail it.
Yeah.
Nail
Yeah.
it.
That's always put towards either in the second set or towards the end of the first list because there's just some songs that like See You in Hell. There's no way I'm doing that after an hour of doing another song.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, we also plan things out that way too, because there's you try and figure out the flow of our show. Like me as the lead singer, you would think that I would be the guy that would make up the set list because I'm going to figure out what I'm going to be able to sing.
Right.
Actually, in our band, Mickey Licks, our bass player, is the guy who handles that stuff.
Okay.
He knows what I can sing. He knows the full band's capability. But he has an amazing sense of flow that certain songs back to back aren't going to work. Like each set, like every '80s band had a ballad. But
Sure.
in our show, if
Sure.
we're doing a
Or 10
two-set
or
show,
12 or-
right? Yeah, some of them. But our show, we only do one '80s ballad in each set, and it's not always the same one.
Right.
But we always do at least one in each set to capture that same, '80s feel.
But it's got to be in a certain spot in the lineup.
Yes. Yeah.
You can't do Trooper and then,
Nail Home Sweet Home
Yeah, it's
immediately
just not
after.
gonna- yeah.
Yeah,
No.
you don't
And
go
then
from
you gotta-
Poison's Nothing to Something to Believe in into
You got
Gun-
another thing coming.
Right. Yeah.
Now, have you found in this persona? Have you found yourself changing your set list to accommodate the crowd?
Oh, good question.
we will at times shoot from the hip. There have been times when we look at the set list and just that song's not going to fly right now. We just
Yes,
have a feel
you need to
that
pick the energy
it's
up,
not
you need to
gonna-
get
it's
people
not gonna
going
work.
before you-
Yeah.
Yes.
We've had also. We're not a request band, but
Right.
when you get enough people that are asking for something, usually it happens in the second set because halfway through the show you take a break and everybody's telling you what they want to hear.
Yes,
And
everybody starts talking to their friends. And, oh man, it'd be great if
we
they played
start
this.
playing Stump the Band, and what happens is there's been a couple of times that everybody knew the song, so we just threw it in halfway through. Hey, look, we had never actually had Hot for Teacher in our show until last weekend.
Cool.
That's
And
got to be a hard one. See, I'm a drummer, so
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about how hard that
Yeah.
must be to.
well, we got to remember the song. There's actually breaks where the drummer's actually doing nothing in the song.
Oh well, okay. It's just that I hear that double bass, when it's.
Well, we did what we did is we did a quick mashup because they wanted to hear some Van Halen, and we'd given them some Van Halen in the first set, but they wanted to hear more. So we did Hot for Teacher right up through the first chorus, and then jumped into Ain't Talking About Love. Again, two songs we'd never played before. And certainly never done them back to back.
Yeah.
But to give the people what they wanted to hear,
Oh, so you just.
we pulled it out of our pocket.
Oh my.
We
Yeah.
did that once at the Anchor in Kingston. Some guy kept yelling, docking.
Yep.
And we ended up doing, believe it or not, if you know our set list, we ended up doing Alone Again.
Wow.
And we made it all the way through the song.
Okay, that's fucking awesome, dude.
I don't
I
know
would
where the
freeze.
hell we came up with Alone Again. I mean,
Yeah, with the other hard rockin' docking tunes you could have
Halloween
nailed.
and
Right.
yeah, we ended up doing Alone Again. The guitar player started playing, and then
Shoot from the hip, man.
okay, here we go.
Some things just don't leave the back
Yeah,
of your
you can't.
that iron
Yeah.
trap of a brain, where
Not mine.
Everyone, well, look, you can't remember
no.
what you had for lunch yesterday, but you remember lyrics from songs 30
40
years
years
ago.
ago, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
like it would wind up
the
happening.
crazy part about it,
So, how does this? I mean, you guys. Every time I've seen you guys have always been right there, spot on.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is that to do that with all the lineup changes you were talking about earlier?
Well, really, for the last 2 years, the lineup changes have basically been guitar players.
Okay.
I know usually it's lead singers getting kicked out of the band for being jerk-offs, but
Not you.
Too full of themselves or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Guy calls himself Rex Venues. You tell him you can actually deal with him. I don't know. Anybody who's known me over the years, I'm a pretty easygoing guy. But it's just one of those things. It was in a time that we live in where we see so many bands, members coming and going like that.
Yes.
It becomes. It becomes just not ego clash, but attitude clashes. Some people think the band should be going in a different direction.
Right.
Sometimes there's just
What
guys that
different
don't want to
direction
do.
could Los Angeles go?
Well, again, like you've mentioned, we play. You've got another thing coming. We play
Right.
the Trooper. We do some Iron Maiden. Some people thought it should have went more with a L.A. sleaze type sound of L.A. Guns,
Okay, Sleaze
Faster
Bees,
Pussycat.
Enough's Enough.
Right.
Okay, I gotcha.
And then there was another frame of thought where you could conceivably go with heavier AC/DC stuff like that, some heavier Iron Maiden, And if you get too far off of the glam version of what the band really is, and you try not to.
All is lost.
I don't call it a hair band. and we play the glam era. And it's funny you say all is lost because our tagline is always
I know,
not lost.
that's why I said it.
But yeah, we try to keep it in a particular vein where you're expecting to hear when you see what the band is wearing. You expect to hear Whitesnake, Bon Jovi, Poison, Rat,
Yeah.
Kiss, Motley Crue, where all these bands were putting on over-the-top killer shows.
Yeah.
And it was the reason we'd go to see the shows. Back when an expensive ticket was $50.
Yes, yeah, we were talking about that before. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Kevin Sharp says goodbye, says hello to all of us right now.
What's up,
so,
Kev?
Hey, Kevin. A question. Now, you know that I deal with a lot of heavy music now, and you know all of the stuff that I've done in the past. There's a difference in the technical aspect of playing music. So, for instance, as a drummer, because that's what I know, if I'm playing, let's say, in hardcore, I'm not saying that it's any easier or anything like that. A mistake is acceptable. You can kind of ride it and just go with the flow. But
yeah, it almost gets
lost.
lost.
You can't do that. You can't necessarily, and correct me if I'm wrong, because both of you are musicians. Correct me if I'm wrong, that if technically you really have to be on part. Like if you miss a note, everybody knows it, because this is the type of music that talks to a person's heart, an era, a special. And so they're listening to this, and you have to be on part almost every time. Where like when you listen to hardcore,
well, not almost.
or
every
time. You get
time.
where I'm trying to say. If something is more street or more angry,
raw,
right? Perfect.
Raw.
Yes. Then you could kind of ride with it, and
you can improvise
and
a little bit.
Right.
Yes.
Somebody's jumping off the stage. Hey, it's part of the thing.
Right.
It's very different with this type of music.
The hardcore aspect of it is that the people expect it to be raw. They're there for the power. They're for the emotion. It's just there. It's rocking your freaking soul.
It is.
People are listening to the type of music that what we're doing. We're tapping into something that they used to listen to years ago.
Yeah.
So we try to recreate that in playing the sounds properly.
What was that, honey? No, keep going.
Yeah, okay. We try to recreate that. We try to recreate that with getting the songs as polished as we can. It takes rehearsal.
Okay.
It takes rehearsal. It takes everybody knowing their part.
Yes.
We've always said that rehearsal is not where you come to learn your part. Okay, everybody go home.
You come to learn everybody else's part.
Well, basically, everybody's at home. You'll learn how the songs go.
Yeah.
When you come to rehearsal, you should know how the songs go.
Right.
You start playing it so that we could polish it all together. Like I said previously, the members of my band, where a lot of these songs really come together is in the vocal aspect of it.
Harmonies are huge in the 80s hair metal.
Right.
Huge.
Oh, absolutely.
Usually it was one other member of the band who was actually the better singer.
Right.
You get Richie Sambora, that kind of stuff. Where the lead singer is doing one line, but it's all the rest of the members of the band that are making it sound huge.
Yes.
We actually have a question here, and it's come from Kevin. So he says, Rex looks very familiar to me. He reminds me of the bass player from way back that played in a band called Screaming Cheese. Any relation?
You're talking about an individual who went by the name of Monterey Jack Hammer, lead singer and bass basher for the Screamin' Cheese.
Cheese, I don't remember that one.
The Screamin' Cheese was more of a comedy show. That band. It was myself, two of my very good friends, Rick Kopech, Andrew Freeman, who.
Hey Andrew, I hope you're watching. I haven't seen you forever.
Why are you waving at the screen again?
He's out there. Hello. But we would go on stage with maybe 3 or 4 songs written on a set list, and the rest of the show was shoot from the hip. It was the most insane. No two shows were ever the same.
Right.
And it really playing with my brothers in that band was just a lesson on how to go out and have fun doing a show, and something I'll never forget because it was always awesome because we'd play until we couldn't play anymore.
Yeah.
The show ended when one or all of us was just incapable of playing anymore.
Kevin's agreeing with you, and he's writing great band for you. So yeah, we heard you, Kevin. We heard you. So I wanted to jump in a little bit here as to how many bands and what inspired you. Like, I know that's like two different questions, but since I've known you and you, the two of you, you've always been in bands. Because when I first met you, you were in Heavens to Murgatroyd. And I used to follow you. In fact, you had a van.
Yeah.
And, oh, forget it. There have been...
The band van.
The band van.
Was that the ambulance?
We had a song in Heavens to Murgatroyd called "Get in the Van." We played at the end of the show.
The ambulance?
To the different,
The ambulance, yes.
Yes. The old ambulance. I remember that.
Yeah.
That was hysterical.
That was great.
See, I still remember some things. So how many bands have you been in?
Holy crap.
Wow. All right.
We don't have that much time.
I've tried.
Oh, no, but this is going to be a two-parter. So just
I
I
tried
looked
to-
at the right camera this time.
I tried to add it up at one point. I think at one point I came up with 16.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
What-
we
how
were
many
talking
bands
about
you
before.
in?
We were in three.
Yeah,
Three
we were
bands
three together.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah, and I'm starting about way back when I was 14 and first picked up a bass guitar. Because I mean, most of my music career, I've been a bass player doing
Right.
backups, and there was only a couple of bands where I'd even where I sang lead vocals, but I usually sang with a bass.
Yes.
It's only in the last few years that I took over lead vocals and like in.
It's more fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, don't ever.
Look at the look of excitement between the two of them here.
The thing is this: I was never one who became that lead singer who was like, "Oh, I'm just here to sing." I was always the guy still humping the PA system.
Yeah,
Let me rephrase that. Still carrying the PA system. Children-friendly show. We don't want to.
Yeah, okay.
Get the
Yeah, that's
wrong
what,
idea of
that's
what-
what we are.
Brian does what.
Children are watching this.
Yeah. What we got going on with PA gears. Let's
No,
keep
no.
it.
Oh, I'm the same guy too.
Yeah. You know.
Carrying up the cabinets up the stairs at the loft.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the loft.
But it's still you learn from being a member of the band that always toted equipment that just because you change your position in the band, you're
Doesn't
not
change your responsibilities.
you're not giving up on that. And again, one band that I started just doing lead vocals with was a band called Metal Incorporated. Again, my friend
Kopech.
Rick Kopech,
Yep.
Scott Kopech, Whitey Renstrom. And this was one of the first times that I just handed the bass off to somebody else. And I couldn't have been happier because Whitey and I have been friends for years. And finally, the opportunity to play in the same band together.
Right.
Just, we had so much fun with that band. But again, in the area, venues are dropping like crazy.
Oh, there you
Oh, yeah,
Even
we
down
have-
the city, it's like
we
you're
have
seeing
discussed
every
that
week,
before.
that
That's-
it's just so fewer and fewer
There are
places to
nowhere.
play.
There's nowhere to play.
So it's getting tougher and
well,
tougher.
I mean, it's one
And
of the
it-
reasons
this-
why Dave and I kind of came up with the show because we wanted to do that, and eventually we'll be able to have live shows as we kind of iron out the wrinkles.
Yeah.
And we have places to be. We have one or two places in mind, like pretty much like a warehouse type of atmosphere because we can't disturb the neighbors. But with that in mind, we have some
Neighbors.
ideas into doing that.
I don't like my neighbors.
And
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, one of them I like.
one of them you like.
Yeah,
Okay.
one of them I like.
I don't like
But
having
he'd probably
neighbors.
come over and watch the show, right?
But we're working on it. You know, it's one of the reasons why we decided to do that because there's just no scene anymore. We kind of
And it's worse depending on the style of music you play.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
It's easier for you, Los Angeles, than it is for us.
Well, again, we're putting up a different. Like I said, Metal Incorporated was very much like
Very
your
similar,
band.
yeah.
We were playing a lot of the same stuff, and it was stuff that we loved.
Oh yeah, stuff we grew up on.
But man, it was tough to one, get a venue to believe in it,
Yep.
Right.
and then two, to get people out to that venue.
Yes.
Los Angeles, luckily, we've found a kind of a niche market that when you start getting people that realize that, my God, these guys are not just playing this music, but they're giving us the show that we used to
Yes.
love to go see.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it. We don't, you know, I always keep bringing it back to Los Angeles because it's the now thing.
Yes.
But the deal of putting the show together, a lot of people miss the idea. They get up on stage and we're just going to get up here and play music.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work.
Nah, I can't do that.
But I say this to anyone. Depending on what music you're playing, you know, music is music. It's always there to be enjoyed.
Right, absolutely.
But if you're playing music and you're playing for an empty room week
Right.
after week, maybe
You're
you got to
doing
start
something wrong.
thinking about what you're doing in your show.
Correct.
Because if you're playing it to have people enjoy it, and people aren't coming to enjoy it, there's something.
I
Yeah,
agree.
you got to kind of think on that level.
We
you know?
were talking a little bit, doing like a little pre-interview thing here, and you were talking about your love for that showmanship and stuff like that. And it doesn't exist. Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't exist. It's not to that extent anymore. You know, there's a couple of bands. You know, we were discussing. Marilyn Manson always puts on a good show. Now, obviously, it's a different type of music.
Oh, yeah.
And
But
obviously,
that's-
Nine Inch Nails and stuff. But nothing compares to a Rob Zombie show. They're just nothing compares because it's that same thing. You know, when I saw him a few years ago, and I've seen Rob Zombie like 50 times at this point, but he puts on. There's the lights. There's the
have
he jumps
have
from
to.
stage to stage and practically swinging across the stage, and he reaches out and pulls people right in
Meanwhile,
to that show.
I've seen video footage of Rob Zombie doing a show, and his set ends up in like the middle of the afternoon. And it takes away the lights, and it takes away a lot.
Yeah.
So there he is, a guy in some macabre makeup,
Yeah.
doing his show, and without the light and the energy that
Without
you
the
get from the
atmosphere.
lighting, the atmosphere. Thank you, Dave. I was just trying to figure out the words here. But without that atmosphere, you know,
It's half the show it should be.
right.
Right. It was the tour with him and Manson.
Yeah.
And he just gave it his all, right, Tommy?
But-
like it was
You
just
have to.
I've always said
it
that.
blew me away.
I mean, I've known Brian for just about 30 years.
Yes.
And I can honestly say that we both have the same view. When you get on stage, you have to give them
yeah.
110%.
Yeah.
You're not there to sing
I
a
was
song.
saying to Bernadette, I had this in a band that I was playing with in the 90s, but we were playing a lot of small New York City venues,
Okay.
where at any given time you could be playing to as many as 5 people, but you would give them the same show. So the motto of the situation was 5, 50, 500, 5,000. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
Who's
matter.
ever in that room gets the same, gets
Sweat.
that show.
Yeah.
You give 110%.
Yes.
But like I said, if you start finding that you're repeatedly at shows where no people are showing up, look a little bit inward and say, well, are we really reaching the people, or
Is this what they want?
we haven't found our target audience yet, or maybe that we're just not giving them what they want.
Right.
Now we've had a couple of shows. Los Angeles has been together a little over 3 years now, and we've had shows where we get up on that stage and went, "Oh boy, it's one of those nights." You know,
You're playing to the bartender and your wives.
right,
You know.
right. Well,
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but we still put on the full show,
Yeah.
full light, sound, stage effects, the whole thing.
Yep.
But we start looking at it. What did we do wrong? What happened tonight? Where hey, look, we had one show where the same night Steel Panther was up at the Chance Theater in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. Steel Panther is an awesome band, and they're doing but you weren't going to get the same people to both shows.
Right.
They're basically
It's
pulling
the
from the
same
same
show.
crowd.
Yes,
they're
it's the
pulling
same
from the
show.
same crowd.
Yes.
And they're doing
The
more
same
original
target.
stuff now, and it's awesome to see. So I didn't fault anybody for going to maybe skip a Los Angeles show to go see Steel
Right.
Panther that night.
Right.
No, definitely.
But
not.
I would have liked them to maybe have done it. I would have felt a little better about myself that evening, but you all
I'm with
turned
you.
on me. No.
I'm with you.
They were all there
Now-
last time, though. They were all there last time, which was
Your intention, as you said before, is to play the original vinyl versions.
yeah, yeah.
So, has anybody ever asked you why? There are some songs like we did Motley Crue on with the show, and we kind of took a little bit of their live, a little bit of the vinyl,
Right.
and then added a little bit of our own.
Okay.
And then we've had people not have any idea what song it was until I opened my mouth.
Right.
You know, and it's just that particular song came out great.
If we veer too far from either live version of that song or the recorded vinyl version of that song, then we're not paying tribute to that song. We can make up our own. We could do it all night long, making up our own versions of these songs.
Oh, sure.
And
Absolutely.
it really isn't about. That isn't necessarily what we're here to do. We're here to strike a nerve and bring back memories from when you used to be able to go see these bands live.
Right.
And sing along with what you heard from the album.
Okay.
You know, that's kind
No,
of
absolutely.
what we love to do. And you know,
It works.
we've been getting some really great response.
It's got to be an amazing feeling to have people
it is.
singing with you.
It is. You
You
know,
know?
there are times in the song where we'll
Just shut up.
We'll
Let everybody else
we'll
listen.
purposely stop
Yes.
at a point in the song and just let them sing it. We're not going to take it. Huge. These people go just crazy.
Yeah.
The second, the chorus right after the solo of "Living on a Prayer."
Oh, okay.
You live for the fight when that's all that you got, and let them take it. And I'm telling you, they've never failed us. They've
That's
never
wonderful.
failed us.
I can't even begin to imagine
Our Los Angeles fans, or as I like to call them, the Lost Ones. Our Lost Ones have never failed us when it comes to those points in the show when we say, "We given to you, give it back." That's all we're asking for. Give it back, and man, do they ever.
And the best feeling is looking out and seeing the same faces.
Yeah. Well, I like to see
great.
I like to see, yes, you see repeat faces, but it's always at
it's
the end
great
of the
to see new
show
ones.
when people you've never seen before who, you know, you always get your friends that were like, "You guys were awesome tonight."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I always say, "Thank you, it's awesome." When you get somebody you've never seen
Yep.
before who has no reason to blow sunshine up your ass, tell you, "Guys, that was amazing. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you." You
Yes.
know?
So tell me more about your fan base. Like, you know, do you see that it's more of an older demographic, or do you have younger people coming in on
You know,
this?
it's strange. We were really expecting the people of our same age, you know, 40s, you know, late 30s, early 40s. I'm not going to
Right.
push too hard on the age
Hey,
angle,
you know.
but we are more and more seeing younger people coming in to check out the show because this music has become, air quotes, timeless.
Absolutely.
You know, where it's coming back around again. The younger crowd is looking for guitar heroes again.
Right.
And
Okay.
you don't look too hard at the 90s for any guitar heroes.
well,
We're going to
wait
get
a
into
minute,
that.
wait a minute. There's a
wait,
couple
wait,
there.
Wait, we will
There's
get
a
we
couple
all-
There's
there.
a few.
Okay.
We have
But-
about like a minute to go before we end this section, and then we, do part 2. So before we go into that whole 90s thing, because he's going to go into that whole thing, you know, and he's going to start growling. We're going to
I
have
got
to
one
take
word.
chains.
Dime.
Dime. You know,
But
before
look
we
where
get
70s,
into all that.
And look where
90s, 2000.
where his influence came from, though.
I love seeing how
No,
many
absolutely.
names and people that
Absolutely.
we see here. But Eric Carrillo's there. Christine, little Chris. She's mentioning John Bon Jovi, and of course, Kevin is mentioning Heavens to Murgatroyd again.
Thank you.
All right,
Come
get
on,
off the
that's
Heavens to
an-
Murgatroyd thing, okay?
It is. Oh.
Murgatroyd.
So, yeah, of course, people. I think
H2M.
when it's time to come back, we should talk more about the other bands and what they did and what led you up. And obviously, you're going to get into that because you shared two
couple
of
of
you.
them.
Yeah,
A couple of them.
Just a little bit of that. Obviously,
Fans at
Facebook.
least.
We're gonna keep Facebook going, but we're
Girlfriends.
gonna
Wow.
cut this down in a part 1 and a part 2
about it?
format. You know what I mean? But okay, so we're gonna wrap it up now. So this is part 1 of our 2-part series. So join us back.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Thanks for coming.